Welcome to wpi.edu/listen, your go-to audio news and podcasts for all things Worcester Polytechnic Institute. After you've listened in, check out our other episodes and dive deep into the exciting news stories shaping the WPI community. Wednesday, May 13, 2026. A degree 5 decades in the making. Student originally in class of 1976, relies on persistence to graduate in 2026 with degree in computer science. It's never too late to finish what you started. Proof of that adage will be on display at this week's undergraduate commencement ceremony. That's when Kerry Lynn will complete an academic journey at Worcester Polytechnic Institute that started in 1972. He'll walk across the stage to receive his bachelor's degree 50 years after he first planned. While Lynn entered the university in the class of 1976, life's journey made him part of the class of 2026. I've set graduation goals in the past, graduating alongside my children and so on, but work always intervened, says Lynn. Last year, though, I decided it was now or never, and I was really determined to finish on the 50th anniversary of my original target. Since 1972, Lynn's path has shifted to include a 5-decade career and family responsibilities. While juggling it all, he kept chipping away on his WPI degree in computer science. He'd never given up on the goal. Now that I'm graduating, I hope this accomplishment might inspire even one other person, maybe a fellow student, that there is great value in persistence, adds Lynn. I feel persistence is underrated. 1972 to 2025. Lynn's original major was mechanical engineering. He grew up in Connecticut and spent a lot of time around the machine shop his dad, an industrial engineer, had co-founded. In high school, Lynn started to get interested in computers. He was drawn to WPI by its academic program's focus on project work. It's a place where you can chart your own course, says Lynn. He arrived on campus shortly after faculty approved the WPI plan in 1970, a bold shift in engineering education that emphasized project-based learning and applying theory to real-world challenges. Lynn left WPI during his second year, while still exploring his career path, but his growing interest in computers quickly led him into the emerging tech industry. He worked hands-on with early microcomputers in Connecticut, and moved back to Massachusetts in 1982 to resume part-time study at WPI in computer science. As a member of the Boston Computer Society, he attended a 1984 presentation by Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, unveiling the Macintosh computer. That night in Boston was transformative for me, Lynn says. He and others formed a Macintosh developers group on the spot, which Lynn co-led until moving to California in 1987 to join Apple. During his 10 years at Apple, he helped develop one of the world's first wireless local area networks, and eventually became an engineering manager in the PowerBooks division. After returning to New England in 2000, Lynn resumed classes at WPI, while balancing family life and a career that included roles at Cisco, Verizon, and Oracle. His work contributed to Wi-Fi and Internet Protocol standards, and he earned 10 patents, including 2 for wireless network security methods. While in mid-career, he completed a now discontinued graduation requirement from the original WPI plan, the competency examination. The requirement culminated in an oral examination conducted by faculty members to determine if a student was well prepared to enter their chosen profession. Lynn thinks he could be the last person at WPI to graduate under the original version of the WPI plan, with its competency exam requirement. During my career, I often didn't have time to take courses, says Lynn, who explains the off and on approach to completing his required course load. Graduating has always been at the top of my bucket list, however, so I kept returning to it. The final academic year, in fall 2025, after a layoff accelerated his retirement from full-time work, Lynn decided it was time to make one final push to complete the degree he began decades earlier. While volunteering with Fab Foundation, a nonprofit focused on providing access to and education about digital fabrication tools and technology that supports innovation and creation, he reached out to George Heinemann, associate professor of computer science, to explain his goal. "One doesn't receive such an email every day," says Heinemann, who worked with the registrar and researched old university catalogs with Lynn to determine that he needed to complete a required Humanities and Arts Inquiry Seminar, HUA, and a major qualifying project, MQP, to graduate. Heinemann became Lynn's MQP advisor and noted the uniqueness of the project. As Kerry was writing his MQP report, he found that he had to cite his own work that he did with standards organizations from decades ago. Likely no other undergraduate MQP has had to do the same thing. For the HUA requirement, Lynn returned to the classroom of David Spanigal, Associate Professor of Humanities and Arts, who had taught him years earlier. "While he was in my courses, Kerry enhanced the level of sophistication among our entire classroom learning community because of the philosophical depth of his questions and how authentically he embraced the tasks of understanding our course materials," says Spanigal. Lynn joined Spanigal's inquiry seminar and worked with 2 other undergraduates on a research article examining the impacts of technological disruptions from the 19th century through 2023. Describing his students' addiction to lifelong learning as infectious, Spanigal says, "I have personally witnessed Kerry coming such a long way since we first met in 2010. I am extremely grateful for the wealth of learning that he enabled among every WPI community member with whom he interacted, especially myself. The gratitude is shared. I'm grateful to so many faculty members who have helped me over the years," says Lynn. "I am especially thankful to Professor Spanigal, whose classes have enhanced my understanding of the history of science and technology, and Professor Heinemann, who has helped me navigate the details of completing my remaining degree requirements and advised my MQP. I was also pleased to reach out to some of my earlier professors at WPI, Stan Selkow, Bob Kanicki, and Dave Brown, to let them know the finish line is in sight. Lastly, I was delighted to find that Professor Mayer Hume, who I took 2 classes with decades ago, is still teaching at WPI, and I recently visited him." Upon commencement after graduation, Lynn plans to divide his time between volunteering at Fab Foundation and consulting work. With his long-sought-after graduation and computer science degree just days away, Lynn says he is happy his family can attend commencement to see him graduate, and he hopes to encourage others to stay persistent. "My 98-year-old dad won't be able to attend, but he's proud of me for finishing. If my story helps someone get off the fence to go back to school or finish something they started a long time ago, I'll consider that a win."